A meeting to order tonight, September 18th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. Please stand for the invocation by Dylan Douglas and the pledge by Mr. Wilder.
Bow your heads and pray with me. Home. Pray. God. Recovery to all. Offer guidance, national leaders. Pray also for safety, founders, and all the civil.
Okay, we do have a quorum with one absent. I need to get approval of minutes for the September 4th, 2025 agenda meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the previous meeting.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. I need approval of the agenda this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the September 18th, 2025 agenda and item H1A2 massage operator's license for Brittany Pesha Amazing Therapies, LLC. Whatever.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to clarify that the Planning Commission is a recommending body, the Columbia County Board of Commissioners. Decisions made on rezoning and variance requests tonight will be forwarded to the Commissioners for final action on October 7th, 2025. If you wish to address the Board of Commissioners at their meeting, please see Ms. Mixon. To obtain a request to speak form, any request with a public hearing will have a minimum of 10 minutes permitted per side for the presentations of opinions, data, and evidence by proponents or opponents of a request. The applicant will be allowed to speak first, and any member of the public may speak after. Either side may cede their time during the hearing if they so desire. And we're getting into the debate agenda, new business, massage operator's license. Will?
There's sheriff's request for two massage operator licenses tonight. First one is Nicole Coffey, DBA Recovery Massage Therapy. She's located at 4210 Columbia Road, Suite 15C. It is on-premise only. And then also the one that we just added, Brittany, I believe it's Pesha, DBA Mermazing Therapies, LLC, 44 Columbia Road, Suite 103, on-premise only. And if you like, you can take these as one vote. They meet all the requirements. That includes staff recommendation.
Very good, Will. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the massage operator's license for Nicole Coffey to provide massage therapy at 4210 Columbia Road, Suite 15C.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for that. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. You go over the H1A2?
Yep. I did them both at once.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the massage operator's license for Brittany Pesha, DBA Mermazing Therapies, LLC, 4434 Columbia Road, Suite 103, on-premise only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Getting into the public hearing, we have H1B1, variance 250904. Dylan?
Yes, sir. As you said, this is an application for a variance to rear setbacks, existing structure at 613 Apostolic Drive. Shows the location and zoning of the parcel. It's zoned R1. As you can see here, the property surrounding this parcel is all colored zoned property. It makes use of an access easement across neighboring private property. That's significant in just discuss a little bit. And the location of this property is off of Apostolic. It has an Apostolic Drive address, but it's off Apostolic Lane, just south of the major roadway pictured here, Wrightsboro Road. And this is an aerial view of the property. The structure in question is kind of in the lower right corner of the property, as you can see there. The applicants have been seeking property with ancillary dwelling for the past couple years. The parents of one of the applicants are aging, and they're looking to kind of consolidate their space. They both are Columbia County residents, but they want to be closer to one another, maintaining the aging parents' independence while also being in close proximity, just in case any kind of intervention or emergency, should happen. However, the issue is, as we discussed previously, this property is surrounded on all sides by neighboring private property. That means that there are slightly larger than normal setbacks, 25 feet along all of their lot lines. And as you can probably tell from this aerial, that ancillary structure on the property is within those setbacks. Site survey showing just that. The ancillary dwelling is about 7.5 feet, a little bit less than that from the nearest neighboring lot line. And they are proposing a small expansion of that ancillary structure as well, shown here. The reason for that, again, is because the intended residents of that ancillary structure are the aging parents of the property owners, applicants, and they are looking to expand the single-level footprint of that ancillary dwelling. Right now, it's 2 stories. However, they're hoping to just expand and offer a few more facilities on the ground level so that those intended residents can make use of all of them there on the ground level without having to go up and down stairs. Best fit for them. Request that. With that request, they have also submitted a letter of support from their neighbors. County reviewing departments have all taken a look at this, the typical ones, stormwater, building standards for fire safety. There have been no glaring issues. Conditions have been offered from building standards to make sure that the structure is not expanded closer to that lot line, basically making that infraction against county code any worse moving forward. And then our office is also offering a condition just explaining that the exception to that setback is strictly for this existing structure and the small expansion. That way other structures in the future don't spring up close to that lot line. Again, they offered a letter of support from their neighbor. Those neighbors have lived there for 7-ish years and apparently have had no issues with this existing ancillary structure that these property owners have kind of inherited from a previous owner. And given that those neighbors are not seeing any issue with the existence of that structure, there are no glaring issues. Staff is recommending approval provided those conditions are complied.
Okay, thank you, Dylan. Will the owner or applicant, Kenneth or Delreese Rollerson, like to come forward and speak? Add anything? Do we have any questions? Have any questions? No, we don't have any questions. Any other member of the audience would like to speak against this or in favor? Okay, can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend to approve with conditions of file VA 250904, variance to reduce rear building setbacks for an existing structure and expansion at 613 Apostolic Drive.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next order of business, file RZ 250907. Danielle?
Yes, sir. This is a request for a change of conditions for Tillery Park off Baker Place Road. This change of conditions particularly impacts the portion of the property that is on the west side of Baker Place Road, just south of I-20. It is currently zoned planned residential development, as is the rest of Tillery Park. That zoning was applied in 2020, and there have been multiple revisions to that zoning file since that time. This shows the aerial of the property. It is under construction, so it does not look like this if you've driven down Baker Place Road. The looks a little more like this. So this property is under construction for what is known as Section 7 of Tillery Park. And the request is in relation to a condition of the zoning that was applied with that 2020 or rezoning to PRD. That condition limited Tillery Park to platting no more than 300 lots until a second full access to either Canterbury Farms Parkway or Wrightsboro Road was provided via public roads. The intended connection, and the one that was shown on the original concept plan, of course, was the connection to Canterbury Farms Parkway, but there was some flexibility written into the condition. At that time, the right-of-way for Canterbury Farms Parkway was not owned by either the developer or the county, so there was some concern that that connection may be difficult to make. That right-of-way is now dedicated to the county, so that concern has been addressed. But there is still this condition related to that road connection actually being developed. Right now, at this time, Tillery Park has final platted sections 1A, 1B, 2, and 3A. So that brings them to 271 lots final platted at this time. They have the remainder of Section 3, which is an additional 37 lots, and Section 7, which is 98 lots, and is the section we're dealing with in particular with the change of conditions. That are under construction, but that are kind of hung up a little bit with this condition, that they can't final plat all of the lots they have under construction under the current condition unless that road connection is made. So this shows the development plan, including the additional property for Tillery Park South. Was a later rezoning file that is being developed by a different developer. That does include a connection to Grenard Street in Canterbury Farms, which will then allow connection through Grenard Street to Canterbury Farms Parkway when it's complete. That connection is not complete at this time and is not dedicated, so it's not currently a public road and does not meet the zoning condition. And then the other connection, of course, is the Canterbury Farms Parkway connection. One of the issues with this is this was Section 4. It does involve a creek crossing. It does require core permitting. One of the previous revisions to the PRD was to modify the street section to try to aid in getting that permit. That permit is not approved at this time, and that is part of why this was not the next section developed with the road connection. Overall, the concern from a staff standpoint is that while the developer has pointed out that the additional land that they're looking at is on the opposite side of Baker Place Road, so it doesn't particularly impact internal traffic flow in Tillery Park. The concern is the impact on the larger traffic network. This connection would provide additional route options, relieve some of the congestion on the parallel roads, which would be Wrightsboro and William Few, and have wider impacts beyond just internal traffic circulation in Tillery Park. Therefore, staff feels this connection's quite important, and we are recommending disapproval of the change of conditions request.
Thank you, Danielle. Will the owner applicant of Tillery Park Development LLC would like to come forward and speak on behalf? State your name and address for the
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Winkter with Tillery Park Development and Ivy Development, 672 Industrial Park Drive, Evans. I want to add some information to the staff's report. When we first phased out or showed phasing on the overall Tillery development plan, we call these areas, we divided up into areas, not sections, because we didn't know how we were going to develop it over the 10-year lifespan of this project. Things changed. Things have drastically changed in the economy since 2020. And so have things with the Corps of Engineers permitting process that we have learned over the last couple of years. So Area 7 is not Section 7. Area 7 is across Baker Place Road. We do have several other areas outlined in the overall master plan map. And even though we have Area 1 through 7, they were not consecutively dated for development even back in 2020 in our proposal. So we're not necessarily jumping around out of order. But the main issue we have right now is the core permitting. That's what drove us to cross Baker Place Road next. This permitting process, again, has changed quite a bit in 5 years since we first started this. It's become much more difficult. We've actually been working on a permit for 2 road crossings and 1 wetlands fill for about 2 years now, and we still don't have it. So even if we would have turned in plans to extend our main road over to Canterbury Farms Parkway, we would not have been able to build it because we don't have a core permit to cross the stream. So we'd still be here today, and we just couldn't stop progress on our project where we waited for the Corps of Engineers indefinitely. So that's the reason we moved to Area 7 on the west side of Baker Place Road, because we knew that did not include any wetlands or core permitting. So just to give you an idea of what we've gone through with the Corps, we turned in permits a couple years ago. One of the items we were next assigned to do was hire some consultant to provide a cultural resources survey across the entire site. So they have to go out there and they walk it in a grid pattern and they look for shards of pottery or whatever, whatever they can find. They didn't find anything. The next thing the Corps required us to do was have the existing cemetery on site further delineated for grave sites. We hired an archaeologist in 2019 when we first put this property under contract to research and delineate the cemetery, so we knew where its edges were, we would stay clear of it. Well, that wasn't good enough for the Corps, so we had to hire somebody else with a ground-penetrating radar to go out there and walk it and determine where all the grave sites were. And so that also brought Georgia SHPO into the mix, which is the State Historic Preservation Office, which I don't have any idea what they have to do with wetlands, but they've worked out a deal with the Corps that if you do a certain number of your permit is whatever, then the state of Georgia gets involved. And so the state got to review all of our documentation. And you can imagine this doesn't happen overnight, right? This is, each time we talk to them, it's a month, 2 months, 4 months turnaround time. So, you know, those are the reasons for the 2 years at least. Now, at least two of the previous PRD revisions that we've been here for included adjustments to road and lot layout based on what we're going through with the Corps permitting. And then we got held up because the Corps thought that Tillery Park South, which does not involve us, that's a Maybom-related entity, they had some additional permitting they were doing, and so the Corps tied that to us and said, no, you're not eligible now because the Tillery Park South has already permitted stream crossing, and so that changes your scope. And so we had to politely argue with them for a couple of months to clarify that. We recently convinced them that we are a separate project from Tillery Park South and we could proceed as we were. They did send us an email in writing. They agreed with that, that we were on track for the permit we thought we were on track for 2 years ago. But here's all the additional documentation that we needed to provide them. So our consultant has been sending that in. Now, I want to ask y'all, does anybody know what an Ocmulgee skull cap is? I don't either. Until last week, that was the most recent request from the Corps of Engineers. There's an endangered flower named the Ocmulgee skullcap that may grow in hardwood bottoms in our area. So we had to send a consultant back out there to go check all of our wetlands crossings and stream crossings and see if that flower existed, and it did not. So it's been a somewhat painful process, but again, that's just a little taste of why we could not proceed forward with the road connection back to Canterbury Farms Parkway. And then Tillery Park South, part of their initial their rezoning, the language included in that approval, did say that once that connection to Grenard Street was made, that satisfied the second road connection. Well, Tillery Park South has been under construction for probably a year and a half. They had issues with their wetlands crossing and permit, which shut them down. They got that worked out. Then they had some other pipe issues. They've got that worked out now. And they are pouring curb and gutter currently, and we expect them to be paving that road really soon. So that connection is to be made shortly in the very near future. And then, you know, we only have 109 houses sold. So we're not anywhere near 300 occupied houses out there. So, you know, the traffic load is a long way from hitting 300. And even if we, you know, we had a record market for our 98 lots on the west side of Baker Place Road, put them all under contract at one time, moved 98 homeowners in 9 months, that we still think that would be beyond when Tillery Park South makes their connection. So lots of different issues have caused us to jump across the road. So I just want to give you that background. I'm happy to answer any questions because I know that was probably round and round in circles for some of you.
I got a question on, when y'all started the development, you didn't reach out to the Corps at that time, knowing that gonna be probably a problem down the road?
Well, we identified the crossings, and at that time, the rules were different for the crossings. And so we laid this out under old rules and knew we could permit it fairly easy. And the Corps rules changed after we started site work. After we got approval in 2020, the Corps rules changed, and so it changed our whole scope. So as soon as we found out the rules changed, we started putting all this, this permit together and submitting it.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, the changes happened about, was it because of the administration change possibly? Is that what drove this crazy change from what was fairly workable to almost untenable? Or is that just Corps of Engineers?
I think it's the Corps of
usual way to do
Engineers
things?
that's the Corps of Engineers that does not answer to anybody, pretty much. I mean, that's our experience. And that's kind of funny, but kind of not. They're real happy to tell you that nobody influences them, that you can get whoever you want to try to call them and speed the process along, but that doesn't change the way they operate. So I don't know, Ms. Waddle, what drove the change in the rules. Costs went up, the impacts that you can make tightened up significantly. I don't know if it was tied to administrative or just
The Corps being the Corps.
Corps being the Corps. Right. So let me finish up with, because we have received what we are taking as good news from the Corps of Engineers, that they've agreed with our path forward. We have started the preliminary engineering on Area 4, which will be that connection back to Canterbury Farm. So that will be the next set of development plans that will be coming to the county. But again, until now, there was no reason to produce engineering plans that would just be shelved because, you know, the Corps had not issued a permit. The county wouldn't issue full approval on a site plan or development plan without a Corps permit on those crossings. Has been our experience in the past too.
Questions? Okay, thank you. Anyone else here would like to speak in favor? Anyone here would like to speak against? Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend disapproval of file RZ 250907, change of conditions for Section 7 of Tillery Park, located off Baker Place Road.
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor and second. All those in favor? Motion is for disapproval. Next item on the list, H1B3, rezoning 250908. Dana?
Yes, so this is a major revision. Location is 887 Audubon Way, and it's a lot that's 0.37 acres. Current zoning is PUD, and it's an existing vacant residential lot. The request is revision to increase the height of the retaining walls. This is the location of the lot at the end of a loop road, Audubon Way. This is the zoning, it's PUD, it's all part of the River Island PUD. And here's an aerial of the lot. Here's an oblique view, and it is an area where there's several homes under construction at the moment. Here is the plat of the property with lot 27 in the center. The parcel at the back is 3.69 acres. It's noted as open space, and there won't be any homeowners there, so there'll be no impact to that area. Here's a plan showing the blue line, which is the retaining wall location. You'll see in a moment, there's quite a slope to this lot from side to side, and those contour lines are quite faint, but there's about a 14-foot drop from side to side there. Can you go back one? There's a small retaining wall down here, which is maximum 3 feet high. That's allowed anyway. It's the wall on the other side, which is maximum 8 feet high, that requires a PUD revision. Here's some site photographs. This is standing at the top of the Audubon Way, looking down the loop road. That's where the proposed home location will be. This is looking the other way up the road. You can see there's quite a grade change along that street frontage. And there is a 12-foot wide paved drive that's at the back of these lots. And you can see from both ends there how much the ground slopes on the back as well. Here is the plan and the elevations of the house. It's a two-story house. The plan shows that the garage is located at the back of the site here. We do prefer homes that don't have garage doors at the front, so again, it's a more appealing design for the neighborhood. And the HOA and the Design Review Board have approved the location of this wall. So staff recommends approval. There's an easement encroachment agreement will be required since the wall is in the side setbacks, and the major revision shall allow a total height for the retaining wall and fence of 15.
Thank you, Dana. The owner applicant, PDH Builders, would like to come forward and speak. Add anything? Any other member would like to speak in favor of this or against? May I have a motion?
Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval with conditions, file RZ 25-09-08, major PUD revision at 887 Audubon Way to allow a retaining wall and fence with a maximum combined height of 15 feet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. H1B4 next. This is RZ 25-09-09. Danielle?
Yes, sir, this is a request for a master sign plan revision at 447 North Bel Air Road. This is the medical office complex here in Evans, off University Parkway and Town Center Drive. And it is currently zone planned unit development and does have an adopted master sign plan that was approved in 2013. That master sign plan allowed for additional freestanding signs on the road frontages. It is a large campus with very long road frontages, so that provides some additional direction to patients seeking care at these facilities. And this shows the aerial with the multiple buildings on the campus. The proposal for the revision is for an additional freestanding sign roughly in this area that's currently grass. You can see in the background one of the directional signs on Bel Air Road that's existing, as well as the medical buildings in the background. So this shows the master sign plan and where it had signs allowed, as well as the overall design of those signs. The purpose for the proposed sign is for the surgery center, which you can see previously had tenant space on the signs. That surgery center has now been taken over by Wellstar instead of Piedmont, so there is a branding issue, and there is some regulations that do require these services to be clearly advertised and tied to the provider. So that is one of the justifications the applicants are using to request the additional sign, is they need to make sure that it's clearly distinguished that the surgery center is now a Wellstar facility and not a Piedmont facility. But you can see there is directional signage on the site for the surgery center, and it does have internal signage directing to that facility as well. So the proposed signage includes refacing the two signs at the back. We're not worried about those. Those are allowed under the existing master sign plan. The portion that we're dealing with is the proposed new freestanding sign on North Bel Air Road. The addition of that sign does require the master sign plan revision. So the proposed sign was fairly modern in design. We did talk to the applicants a little bit, and we do have a proposed condition to make this sign a little more in keeping with the existing signs, which are masonry-based. So they are going to add brick base and sides to this sign, so it'll coordinate better with the existing freestanding signage. But it is located fairly far from both of the existing signs. It does meet the distance separation requirements for the sign code. If these were on separate properties that were allowed to have their own signs, it does meet the separation standards for signs of this size. Given that, staff is recommending approval with the condition that the proposed sign be designed as a double-sided brick monument in keeping with the other signs in the master sign plan. The applicants have indicated this is not a problem and have actually already provided a graphic showing that. And with that condition, staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. Let's see. Owner of University Health Services Incorporated or applicant of Wellstar Health Systems Incorporated would like to come forward and speak. And just state your name and address for the record, please.
I am Mark Dry with Caruso and Dry Design Group. We're representing Wellstar from Marietta, Georgia, 531 Roselane Street, 400-110. I'm pretty much going to answer any questions you might have regarding this. We have, as Daniel already talked to her a little bit about adding the brick, up with the design for that, that hopefully would meet the appearance that that needs to be done for the master sign plan.
Thank you. You have any questions? Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Any other member of the audience would like to speak in favor? Anyone who would like to speak against? I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval with condition of file RZ 250909, master sign plan revision at 447 North Bel Air Road to allow an additional freestanding sign on North Bel Air Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. And we do not have our attorney here tonight, correct?
Matters tonight.
Thank you. And any staff or commissioner comments? Any other public comments or participation? I get a motion for adjournment.
Chairman, I make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion to second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We are adjourned.